What's up everybody, in this video, we'll look at the post-apocalypse road trip thriller, How It Ends, detailing the initial fallout after a mystery throws the planet into chaos, and the cause of the apocalypse is undoubtedly mysterious because the movie frustratingly never reveals the cause. These elements are more or less in the background, with the story much more focused on the cross-country road trip of Tom and Will to find the missing Sam, a daughter and pregnant wife, which leads to one of the most abrupt endings I can recall in recent memory. The movie seems to simply give up on itself and just kind of end. Welcome to Fastcuts. So I can't fix that aspect of the ending, but I can safely say that I do know the cause of the apocalypse based on several clues that we are presented within this story. So let's check out how it is breaking down the story, the ending, and what is behind the earth-shattering events. Things begin in a hopeful place, introducing us to the couple Will and Sam. They learn they are having a baby boy, but there is one problem: they aren't married yet, and Will have to ask Sam's ball-buster dad for his daughter's hand in marriage. She urges him not to be too freaked, as long as he doesn't bring up the boat incident, which we find out about later, and seems to be the entire basis for why her dad doesn't like Will, and on the way to his flight they tell each other goodbye. The love guys arriving in Chicago at Sam's parents' high-rise apartment are already pretty awkward right off bat, with Tom treating him quite coldly. We see that he served in the armed forces, and it's obvious for some reason he doesn't respect Tom whatsoever, and is most likely just a protective heart, especially considering his military background. At dinner, they discuss helping Sarah and him purchase a house, but Tom's voice is concerned about protecting his money if they wind up breaking G's. Will just kind of take it and tell. Tom suggests that the two move to Seattle to get away from him, and Will is pushed too far to remain quite revealing. It was actually Sam's idea to move, not his own, and it is specifically because not wanting her father breathing down her neck all the time. And I am already starting to see why now. Things are not uncomfortable, and Sam's mother pretty much kicks Will out of their house. After this argument, well, that didn't go so well. He didn't even get to ask about getting married. The following day, Will is awoken by a video call from Sam. Somehow he overslept and is running late for his flight. But missing his flight will be the least of his concern, as strange crackling comes over the phone. She responded mysteriously that something is wrong. Looking away, then the signal broke up and the call was dropped. When he repeatedly attempts to call her, he could not reach her. So he still tries to catch his flight and tells her, with all flights are cancelled. Something is definitely strange is going on here. No one knows what the heck it is, though, with a reporter on TV said only there was a large seismic event on the Atlantic coast, resulting in all power and telecommunication down entire seaboard, but have no further information, and that's the end of that, as the TV signal distorts away, cutting down to nothingness. This is a huge element of how the story is told, where we are given little, pretty much no information about the grander stories. This major event was when stuck in the trenches with Will, and everything from his personal perspective. Already the airport is turning into a scene where people are jammed outside trying to get cab rides. It's only by giving one cabbie $200 that he is able to get back to the city, we're not knowing where else the head returns to Sam's parents' apartment. Unsurprisingly, her parents are already packing up to leave. Tom is just worried about Sam as they haven't been able to contact her either since the incident. Considering a plan of action to get to her, the airport's down. They have no other option but to drive to Seattle, asking if Will would come with him. The two then set off on a life-changing world where they encounter a number of signs that these are the end times of society as we know it, even before getting out of the city. It's already much a Mad Max scenario at the gas station, with a huge pile of cars and people all fighting for supplies and cash only. Also, there were already hustling goons on the prowl, with a girl approaching and hitting on him. Where he rebuffs, and quickly other bros show up what's going on and extort money from the two to get them to leave them alone. Tom plays along. Sandy has cash in the truck instead of pulling a gun on the game, scaring them off in a hurry back on the road. With complaints about not telling him he brought a gun along, Tom wisely considers that if they had taken their car, it already would have been game over for the journey, and he is not gonna let that happen. They soon encounter another problem, though the army has blocked the main gate of the main highway out of the city, since he doesn't even know what is going on. And it is a matter of public safety, did not have people wandering around outside, that isn't enough to stop Tom, who appeals to the more solid, describing a situation and asking for his help, and the more solider relates letting them pass through. and get out to the open road out there, find pretty much no one else around or any sign of life. Everything already remained completely abandoned until after driving late into the night. They pull over after a cop. The car appears behind them with flashing lights, and guess what it is not a police officer, but another crazy survival guy opening fire on them and speeding off still in pursuit. They were able to escape momentarily, using another abandoned vehicle to block his path and lose him slinking through the darkness with their lights off, and are surprised when they leap out onto the road, causing them to swerve the crash, allowing their pursuer to catch up. But it's taken by Tom, who gets the jump on them. The car crashed some damage to their vehicle, as well as breaks some of Tom's ribs, and now they have to find a garage of some kind to repair the car to even continue their trek. They happen upon an Indian reservation, meeting a young girl, Ricky, who is able to repair their car. Hears on the radio someone trying to understand how an event like this could happen, and all that satellites around the world are down while witnessing. Certainly, the strange sight of birds flying in the air in an odd formation. Tom worried about the car troubles potentially for the rest of the trip and asked Ricky to join them, and she actually is trying to get to California herself, wanting to be a rapper. Which is ridiculous. She does agree to tag along only after Tom doubles his original offer to $2,000, and it does seem like she has other motives to want to leave the reservation when she was spotted by two others on the way out, telling them to keep driving and not wanting any trouble. Seems like something was with these guys in the cars. We get another clue about what is going on as Ricky shows the compass to the other to seeming the needle flying all around the place, indicating that the magnetic field in the area is out of whack. Later they witness a car wreck right in front of them, one car literally flying off the road. And when they going to check the aftermath, more scavengers soon pull up to the wreck. Three dudes get out, causing them to get driving and almost leaving Ricky behind, but will demand they stop to get her, to Tom's annoyance. Filling up with gas, and Ricky gets a little more friendly until something demands their attention. Massive strange swirling clouds covering the sky are seen as lightning strikes nearby, hitting the telephone pole. They hurriedly get back on the road as extremely heavy rains begin to fall. They eventually take cover under a bridge to wait out the storm, as the day we're on things are only becoming more dangerous, as it looks like the temperature has started to get increasingly hotter. As well, we'll see cranking the AC in the car. Another example is when the trio decides to stop at the rundown water park to look for supplies, and Ricky is quite excited to jump into a pool, hoping it would cool down. However, it's hot, caused by them aggressively the rising temperature outside, and another interaction with scavengers coming to stop a van on the road. The woman asking for help with a flat tire. Ricky and Will decide to be nice and help her out, but it appears to be a trap as armed men surround them, demanding they hand over the gas. Will beg them to leave them one tank, but they refuse, basically leaving them to die. Understanding how dire the situation is, they quickly chase after them in. When they catch up, Ricky is able to shoot out their tires and aim the car to violently crash. They still do their best to help them, but with the gas pouring out of the car, they have to make the choice to get their own fuel back and not save them, putting their own survival first. The car exploding and killing all of them, they are all understandably over this. But Ricky is even more so, believing that they killed them. She did take the shot that caused him to crash, but the truth is they did from them in the first place. In this kind of environment, you have to do whatever you can to survive. She is inconsolable though, thinking she made a horrible choice coming along with them. Wanders off on her own in the two, thinking she just needs a minute to come down. When they woke up the next morning, on day 4, she along with her. I thought Ricky would come back later in the movie, because that's pretty much what always happens in these kinds of stories, comes back at the end to save the day or whatever, but nope, she's gone and never comes back, and don't even find out what happens to her after. Tom's injuries are becoming more severe, coughing up blood. She leads unabated to continue happening upon a wrecked train that was carrying military vehicles looking for gas. But amongst the wreckage, they find a medical kit that alleviates the pressure in the lungs. That allows him momentary relief to breathe. Back in the car, the two finally began to open out to each other, discussing their own father's will, revealing his left when he was a child, and while Tom didn't leave, he remembers him as a shitty father, but a good man with his heart in the right place, seeming domineering nature. Though he does have a request for a will, and makes Will promise he will always keep his daughter safe, which of course he agrees to. Tom surprisingly admits that he knew about Sam's pregnancy this whole time, but never told this to Will throughout the trip. And Will, it turns out, has a secret of his own, that the infamous incident that wrecked Tom's previous boat didn't actually have him behind the wheel but a drunk. Sam instead took the blame for her. Tom finally understands he is a good man and will be a good father for his grandkid. After he has gone crossing a bridge and entering into another talent. Will consider as they could get help for Tom here. But coming to a truck, walking the road, it's obvious that they are not here to help them, even though we will explain the situation. They offer to help. But he knows better now, getting back in the car and flooring it in reverse as motorcycles follow. After they make a sweet Fast and Furious maneuver, blowing up the truck and allowing them to escape. But it's too late for Tom, now lying unmoving in the back seat. Will, after checking on him, know that he is on from his injuries. But at least they were able to come to an understanding with each other. Before he perished, all Will can do now is keep pressing on. Until the car begins to break down, a check engine light in the dash mocking him as the car completely ceases to function. As he continues on foot, entering day 5 after the incident. It was around this point in the movie I started wondering how many just miles is exactly from Chicago to Seattle. Which, after a quick search on Google Maps, would take 31 hours. But we are on day 5 already, or 120 hours. I know they had some slowdowns along the trip. But they were been driving for a long time. It's definitely taking to way longer than it should find for Will to get to Seattle. Damn. Narrative conveniences will get picked up by a family guy on the side of the road. Agreed to take him as far as they can, arriving at a house. Which turns out to be Will's dad. He generously offers them to place in the food inside. In exchange for the family. To which the father agrees to allow Will to return to his seemingly never-ending pilgrimage. Though, he is approaching his ultimate destination, passing a sign that Seattle is 284 miles away, seeing flames burning amongst a skyline, remnants in the distance. The destruction becoming more severe the closer he gets. At 30 miles outside the town, there's ash raining down. Whatever it is toxic enough to cause, will take. If as soon as he breathes it, in entering the city limits. The environment is even more ravaged with debris and bodies littering everywhere. The ash covering the entire landscape, the aftermath of a huge tidal wave, as we learn in a bit. Reaching what much has been Sam's apartment building, he climbs the ladder outside, discovering the entire half of the building is gone. Giving him another view of even more of the city's total destruction. So it well looks like Sam is dead. But maybe all isn't lost. Noticing a note written on the board to find her, along with an address. It must be her getting to her house. He's greeted by a man firing at him. But Sam emerges from the inside, rushing to Will. She is alive, the two embracing finally together after this harrowing journey through the wasteland. He can't believe that she is alive either, and even the baby is okay to do. But this other dude named Jeremiah, that helps Sam to get out of the city. He is obviously super jealous that the Will is back. Oh man, I hope Mr. Dreamy was dead and I could take over as daddy. Even though it's definitely an odd situation, she expresses that she appreciates it. What the man did, who is their former neighbor, saying he was responsible to getting her to safety. Where another rumble awakens, Will right outside sees the northern lights going on right there. Got any steamed hams of cooking. Finding Sam and Jeremiah hanging at a campfire, Jeremiah fills us in on what he thinks caused the event, believing it to be man-made, even saying he's seen the intel to support this, that it could have been a man-made bomb that was dropped on the coast and caused the fallout. But Will doesn't agree, based on what he's seen out there on the road, could be possibility be man-made. It is more likely Jeremiah is speculating, as many conspiracy theorists type, about how the government controls everything in bed. With the Sam, she recalls seeing ash clouds over the ocean. The city's windy even occurred as other rumble goes off, Sam saying they are happening all the time now, but they don't let that stop them from some spicy time. That they aren't any earthquake ladder. Catching a glimpse of Jeremiah out by the car. Uses the excuses of seeing 2 kids. And thought they took something, asking Will to join, checking the perimeter. He quickly realizes it was set up, Jeremiah turning his gun on him. Saying that he wants Sam to stay with him. But Will takes him first, which happens to coincide with another huge event arriving, as massive ash could manifest. Will rush back to get Sam and get on the road. They speed on the road and rush down a mountain, with the fiery cloud gaining on their tail and enveloping the entire landscape behind them. Despite this, Will thinks everything's gonna be fine, telling Sam he loves her, but sure doesn't like they are not gonna make it, as the clouds nip at the back of the car. But despite pulling back, allowing them to keep going to the end. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Please post your valuable opinion as comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Bye for the time.